One Piece Chapter 1084 begins inside Pangea Castle in the Holy Land of Marihoa. Sabo is standing beside the knights being burned to death. Just as he is catching his breath, he is caught off guard by a female voice. "You are Sabo, right?" Sabo shockingly looks at Jewelry Bonnie. She says, "I think we're both after the same thing, so let's skip the small talk." Sabo and Bonnie are seen running together after stealing the slave collar keys. Sabo told Bonnie that he did hear about Kamasan having a daughter. Bonnie replied, "I have always tried to keep tabs on Revolutionary Army activity. That's how I know you are trustworthy. I'll leave it to you guys to get Dad's body to safety." Sabo gives the keys to Karasu's bird and says, "Mission complete. Deliver the keys and tell Morley to get Kuma and the others back to HQ as soon as they're free." Karasu asks, "What about you, Sabo?" Sabo assures Karasu by stating, "I will be right behind you after I am done here." Karasu's bird leaves as Sabo questions Bonnie's next move. "I am off to Egghead to see whether Vegapunk has a way to restore Dad's mind, and if he can't..." Sabo senses some guards and lifts Bonnie and hides above a pillar. Bonnie tells Sabo, I owe you one." Guards enter the hall confused, stating they sensed someone's presence there. "That's weird. I could have sworn I saw something," one guard said in confusion. Upon inquiring on why there are so few guards here, the guard says they are all gone because they saw it, the legendary Phantom Room. Another guard dismisses it, saying, "You idiot, don't talk nonsense like that." Sabo is attentively eavesdropping on the entire conversation. Shortly after, Bonnie thanks Sabo and he says, "Egghead's in the New World. We are heading in the opposite direction. Good luck on your voyage." Bonnie remarks that it's odd to see a radical revolutionary acting so friendly. She requests for Sabo to look after her dad. The scene shifts to the 5 elders who are seen standing in a large hall, their backs facing the empty throne. They are staring at a man who is sitting right in front of them. The man sitting is recognized to be the ruler of Arabasta, King Cobra. One elder addresses Cobra, "What have you come to ask?" Cobra replies, "Perhaps I should start from the beginning." Cobra continues his speech and tells how the world government was founded 800 years ago, and that 20 monarchs united together and promptly moved to Marihoa to live as one clan referred to as the Celestial Dragons. Cobra continues as the 5 elders' mood begins to change. They are the ones responsible for the creation of the world, and they have ruled over their creation ever since. Internally, the 20 were considered equal, and to ensure that no individual dictator would rise up from among them. Cobra continues, "They installed the empty throne. Each of them placed a weapon around the throne to symbolize their vow to never try and sit upon it. At the same time, new royal families were hand-picked to rule the nations that the founders could no longer preside over. Those families are still in power to this day. In order to ensure a smooth transition, all references mentioning the previous dynasty's reign were removed from each of the founders' respective home countries." Cobra goes on as the 5 elders are quietly listening with cold expressions on their faces. With the sole exception of Arabasta, the monarch at the time was Queen Lily of House Nefertari. While her name was immortalized as one of the founding 20, she did not stay to become a celestial dragon. Instead, she was to return to Arabasta to continue her reign, which is why the Nefertari family has continued to act as sovereigns. This also means that only 19 weapons were ever placed around the empty throne. One of the Gorosei begins to grow impatient and asks, "It's all as you say, but what exactly is your point?" King Cobra replies, "I have scoured all of my kingdom's ancient texts, but as far as I can tell, all known accounts chronicling the period after the Void Century have one thing in common. Her name isn't mentioned once. It appears Queen Lily never made it back home to Arabasta, and the burden of ruling the country fell to her younger brother. Do you have any record of what became of her?" Imu is seen in her garden listening to the conversation. One of the Gorosei replies, "To be blunt, 800 years is a very long time ago. It is true that the 20 families, including the Nefertari line, did not move here. However, it was believed that the queen returned to her country after that decision. I am sorry, but I'm afraid that details about her motives and journey are lost to the annals of history. We simply do not know. King Cobra begins to look serious and says, in that case, what is the meaning of D? The Gorosei's expressions turn angry, and one of them retorts, why do you ask? The truth is, a short letter penned by the queen has been passed down from one generation to the next. The scene shifts to the public courtyard. A bloodied Kuma has chained Princess Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi is crying in agony and pain, calling for help. Please stop! It hurts! Someone help me! A celestial dragon named Carlos, who ordered Kuma to chain Shirahoshi, is celebrating and says, I've finally caught myself a giant mermaid. Carlos has a despicable look on his face and is making disgusting remarks on the princess. I'm going to ride you to town every single day, and if you don't listen, you'll know nothing but pain. Shirahoshi continues crying for help. No! Please! Someone, anyone, help me! One of the nobles said that Shirahoshi's father and guards were still in the meeting tower, and that they should run away before anything happens. People are seen running away, turning a blind eye to the atrocity that was taking place. No one wants to get involved with the celestial dragons. Prince Fukaboshi, who is disgusted by this act and the cowardice of the people, makes his way through the crowd. He is Shirahoshi's brother, and he has come to rescue her. Fukaboshi says, forgive us, Shirahoshi. We only looked away for a moment. Let's go home and never come back to this rotten place. He then charges towards Carlos. Carlos orders Kuma to do away with the small fry. Kuma then attacks with a laser beam at the fishman. Fukaboshi dodges the laser beam and continues charging forward. He says, the warlord Kuma, it truly is pitiful to see how far you've fallen, but we can't stop now. Let's do it. Ruboshi, Manboshi. Carlos orders Kuma to gut them. He says, who cares if they're royalty? No one will complain if we bury them in money. Besides, they're just fish. His remarks make it clear how superior and godly the celestial dragons think of themselves to be. Princess Rebecca is also spotted at the scene, expressing her anger at the celestial dragon. At the same time, Sai is seen running towards the scene, taking permission from Don Quixote Mjosgard, who is also a celestial dragon, to hit Carlos. Mjosgard furiously permits him and says, by all means, I'll take full responsibility. Mjosgard stands in front of Fukaboshi in an attempt to stop him, and asks him to show some restraint. Carlos points at Mjosgard and instructs Kuma to kill him. Fukaboshi angrily argues with Mjosgard, saying, what's the difference, Mjosgard? We can't just sit back and let our little sister be treated like that. Mjosgard responds, escaping is easier for them. They don't have a country to think about. They are pirates. Leo and Sai charges towards Carlos. Just as the attack is about to land, observers of the incident are seen scared, shouting, don't do it, he is a celestial dragon. This did not stop Sai and Leo from engaging, and with a massive impact, Carlos is sent spinning down the floor. The observers, shocked by this, exclaims that they have murdered a celestial dragon. Fear and panic broke down among them as a confrontation with an admiral was bound to happen. Even the worrisome faces of Leo and Sai can be seen. Amidst all the chaos, Captain Morley appeared out of nowhere, holding and grappling Kuma from behind. An emotional Captain Morley tells everyone, stop picking on Kuma-chan. He tells Kuma that he doesn't need to listen to anyone's orders from now on and says, let's go home together. Everybody is shocked by the presence of the giant Captain Morley of the Revolutionary Army on the premises of Mary Hoa. Captain Morley notices Karasu, who tells him that they have got the keys to the slaves' collars. Captain Morley acknowledges and tells Karasu to head down together. The father of Carlos is angry about the state of his son. He shouts, look how they massacred my boy. The scene shifts to show Imu, who is walking up the stairs towards the king's seat. All 5 of the elders step back, shocked by the presence of Imu. One of the elders says, great Imu, King Cobra is still present. Upon seeing Imu, King Cobra's expressions change like he has witnessed a ghost. Cobra is not able to process what is happening. Imu utters the name Lily with an eerie and suspicious look in her eyes. Emu proceeds to move forward and takes a seat on the empty throne of the king, and the chapter ends. Is Emu actually Lily? What will happen to King Cobra? Click on this video to chapter 1085 to find out what happens.